within Nigeria. It was about a commercial motorcyclist that raped a 12-year-old girl. First, the writer was able to do good with the photo also, and the name of the victim was protected. It's just...
Hi everybody, please, there is a lot of noise coming from this room, and Fatima is presenting. Please, which other group is ready? What other group is ready to present after them? Because they are almost done. Okay, group B, they are ready, Abi. I can see that group B is ready. Please, which other group is ready? Another group has to present right after them, and they are presenting now. They are saying really important things I want us to listen to. Please pay attention. I know that you are still working, but you can walk quietly.
Excuse me, we are having controversy. When you started?
2 stories. That's what I said. They did 2 stories.
Yes, okay, what we noticed with the writer did well with not mentioning the victim's name, but she also protected the perpetrator because she didn't mention the name of the perpetrator. I think it's a bit insensitive for the victim. And the photo was okay, but she made note of the trait the girl was into, and she made known the trait.
There's too much noise. I don't like this at all. There's too much noise. What's the point of the presentation if you can't hear?
She made known the trait the girl was into, her class, and the community she came from. I think it's a bit insensitive because as one of our group members said, it depends on the community. It's on those states, and most part of those places are interwoven. Almost everybody knows each other. So for that, she did a bit of sensitivity. And let's see the one. Yeah, okay. She went ahead and made a full detail of the victim's mother's name also. According to the victim's mother, who went by the name Joy. I'm not sure if she hid the name because she didn't indicate and write it that that wasn't the real name. So she gave, or I don't know the writer, but the writer gave a full detail of the victim, and that's really insensitive to the victim. And I felt for her to protect the perpetrator, okay, for the writer, I feel like to protect the perpetrator, he's not being fair to the victim. So that's all. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
So I don't know if you people were listening to her, but there were certain things that she said, right? She pointed out where the writer of this report was sensitive and insensitive. And I just want to talk on the insensitive part. This part, can you go to the beginning, please? So this place, she said, a motorcyclist has allegedly raped a 12-year-old girl in Ondo State. The police in Southwest have said, okay, so this is kind of the news, but we don't identify. Okay, sorry, can you go down? Okay, here they called the name of the community, just like she pointed out. You know, in all of these communities, they are not like urban centers where you say, you can mention Halima. There are like thousands of Halima in Kano here, but if it's like a community, they know everybody. In fact, in community itself, you can come to our community and say, I'm looking for Fatima. Fatima is this, or just say Fatima. There's a possibility that there are only 2 Fatimas in that community. So it's not nice that she mentioned where the girl is from, that people can know her and they can stigmatize her because of that. So that's insensitivity, and we should not do that in our own report. You can just mention, maybe say a community in Southwest Nigeria or a community in Lagos State. You don't have to be so specific. The suspect. I This is a news report, and because I think the police is involved, so I understand that the person said allegedly, right? Because I think they got it from the police and they don't know yet. But if it's somebody that is telling you their story, if it's a long form you are writing, if the person tells you a name, you can use the name, or you can also decide to change the perpetrator's name just to protect your own self, actually, right? Because the person can come out and ask you to know that they did not do, meanwhile they actually. So, nice presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah. So next group, who is going next? Please clap for them.
Louder, louder.
She said louder. So who is going next? This is 22 minutes past. Let's hurry up so we can go. Two, please come. Please, let's get ready to listen to who they are about to present. So, you have to tell me the name of the. I want to be seen. Hold on.
Survival can succeed after an abuse. I'm not stating the address of abuser. The people she employs can be like as good as telling the abuser that I can't do the head I will because the address of abuser. After her success, she now disclosed the address and the names of the people. Okay,
So hello. So this is one of the stories that we decided to analyze, and finally we observed that the story was quite taken from the human angle, from human perspective. Look at the opening paragraph. Fatima, blah 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 blah, and we also observed that they tried a lot in not disclosing the identity, the picture of the victims. One of the pictures we saw was taken, not the featured image, that is 40 pictures, but it was like this one here. So
you see the example of the type of picture I was talking about. You can't see their faces, but you know that they are women in this picture. Okay.
So, in one of the content of the story, where we feel that I appeared insensitive to the victim, was where I think it was this up, if you go, they describe Fatima's height and shapely figure and made her stand out. We assume that this is like insensitive to the victims, because they are trying to portray her as being beautiful lady. This make her to be exposed to this life. That's our assumption. So,
let me comment on that. So, there was something he said. He pointed out a place where he felt that the writer of this story was insensitive. It's this one line. Fatima's height and shapely figure made her stand out. So, deciding whether this is sensitive or insensitive is just it's actually based on perception, how you perceive it, right? So you might see it to mean that the writer is trying to say that the person who abused her did so because of her appearance, right? When we know that appearance has nothing to do with raping somebody. You understand? It has nothing to do with what they are wearing, where they were at, whether they were working in a lonely place or whatever, right? So, but at the same time, it could also mean that the writer is just merely trying to describe how the girl is, which is because of this reason that I like to send my story to the survivor, so that if she's reading this now, she could see, if I was the person that wrote it, she could see this thing and say, no, see, I don't like this so please remove it. I feel like you're making it look like it's my fault that I was raped. Do you now see why I just feel it's necessary to send to them? But at the same time, it's not a must that they should do it too. So go ahead.
And I think what we are not sure is, throughout the content of the story, they didn't mention whether this is a real name or pseudonym. Okay. So I think we assume it's a real name because even the identity of the father is similar with the surname of the victim.
So on that, right, it could also be a pseudonym, right? Okay. But they didn't mention that it is.
So it's not necessary to be
but you can,
because you couldn't even mislead your audience.
You can.
You know, the journalism is built on a factual.
Yeah. So you can, both the name of the perpetrator can be made up, the name of the victim can be made up. Like every character in the story, you can just change it and then later indicate.
But there's no indication throughout the story. That is my argument.
Okay.
That is my argument because.
Well, that one I can't really say that it's insensitivity oversight.
So this is what we are in point.
For the first story.
Yes.
Nice. So tell me the second story.
So now put up on when you go to another
What's the name of the second story?
Right here. Click this. Yeah. Premium camps. Rape, child soldiers at Boko Haram new. Rape, say child soldiers at rape, child soldiers at Boko Haram. Akwai possessional essence. Well, she is special. So this is a story. So the future image. The girl was terrorized. We assume it's insensitive.
Okay. Is the girl there?
No, yes, because they say the girl was terrorized, so although they didn't mention the type of assault.
So the girl in question, is she still alive?
Yes.
She was killed. Okay. So now we can't really say that it was insensitive of the reporter because the parents of this girl might have said, okay, since she's dead, we don't think she's in any harm.
She will not suffer any of the later.
Yeah.
But whenever they saw her picture, it's like they are going to feel somehow.
But it's their consent, I think.
Yes, as long as I assume that they gave the person consent because the hand was used. I mean,
and even you can't even get access to the picture with
yes, unless if you have their consent, that's okay. But if you see that they are uncomfortable with it, don't use it. Find another.
But you said that when you discuss with that victim, you
and
even
you
send
like,
her your report. And she even take time before she read your story. It's possible when they saw it now, they will feel somehow.
So there's no way for us to know. What we are doing here is assumption.
It's factual, it's assumption.
What we are doing is assumption. We are trying to say, are you sure they asked the parents? Are you sure the parents are, that's what we're doing. So what we're going to do now is say, if they did not ask her parents to use it, that was sensitive. But if they asked and they said go ahead, it's okay.
They are covered.
Yes, it's covered. So let's go on.
So one thing I was curious is, even in this story, they keep mentioning the real name of the survivors. But I don't know, there is no place where they mention this. It's not a true identity of the victim. So I'm a little bit confused. And I think this is the kind of thing that should be taken into consideration. So usually, I think we didn't observe much. But the real content of the story is taken from the human perspective.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So any other thing? Let me tell you one more. So please everybody listen. So from their own observation, please can we listen? Their own observation, they pointed out okay, we debated on this a little and we came to an agreement, and here's what I noticed. The person that did this story did a really nice job in the aspect of storytelling. Yes, like the person.
The segmentation.
Yes.
Covers.
You can see that the person was not just fighting for the sake of fighting. Yes. They took their time.
Background is quite interesting.
Thank you. So they gave a background. They did not just tell you about this girl who was abused till she died. The people who did the abuse, Boko Haram, so they came here to tell you about Boko Haram, tell you they're a violent extremist group, you know, describing the idea behind Boko Haram, even giving you a brief history, you know, how they were, okay, at the peak of the operations in 2015, the terror group was ranked above ISIS, you know, just, this is the research I was telling you about, like, you do your research, like, to give somebody, like, a background, like something else, like to speak to a bigger issue instead of just that singular issue of abuse. You speak to a bigger issue, like paint a bigger picture. So that's also another thing that I noticed that this person did well with this story. So what
Thank you. Stories of good stories, good analysis.
No, they are going to say, well done.
can you tell me the name of Just start. I'll use my phone to check.
Good evening, gentlemen of the press.
Good evening.
My name is
Gentlemen and ladies.
They say they don't want to address as ladies. Gentlemen of the press. Gentlemen of the press. My name is Nasir Waziri, and I am the uncle of the Group 4, or you can call it Group D presentation. And I have two stories here to share with you. The first one is a story from a website called healthyplaces.com. And the headline of the story is Sexual Assault, Rape Survival Story. And the story is a story about a lady. We decided to hide her name for security reasons. And when the writer of the story, what we enjoyed the most about the story is that the way he coined, he humanized the story. Because when he started, he put in a comma.
Please, let's listen to him.
He put it in a comma saying, when he started, he opened the story with, speaking slowly, freed me from the shame I have felt. The more I struggled to speak, the less power the rape and its aftermath seems to have over me. That is my name. Then mother. When we are working in her friend's store with her mother, then one cousin of that her friend, they were sent to back room to pick some things. Then the guy pushed her into the toilet and eventually raped her. So this rape has left her highly devastated. So she had to tell her parents, and her parents reports to police. And after taking it, I tried to trivialize the issue as if it was not rape, because the story, it has been coined by the boy. The boy was claiming that it was a consensual sexual relationship that occurred between her and him, and she was just 13. And when the issue, and her cousin, her friend was calling their house that they should please take the case out of the court and settle it out of the court. So that was what happened. So we decided to pick this place as one of the most sensitive areas in the story, and we placed it here. That is, the guy, the perpetrator is there, grabbed me by my arms, dragged me into the bathroom, and I screamed. So this sentence is very sensitive. Some of the victims, if they are speaking, they can even start crying. So we decided to put him. And the second one, he said he put his hand in my mouth and started undo his pants. This is very sensitive. There's some people that cannot even say it. And he took with him my pride, my security, and my virginity. Yes, and those adjectives, they are trying to explain to you that she has been stripped of her dignity.
Trying to make you feel, empathy for the person, so you see what they also had to go through. So that's also like from the human angle. Yes. And then you can hear the victim's voice. Do you understand? You can hear it like, he took with him my pride, my security, and my like, you can hear the person. We don't want to hear you that is the reporter talking all the time. You are narrating a story, fine, but we also want to hear from the victim. So that's very.
These are her words. These are her words. And these are the parts that we think they are less sensitive and they can be heard, because it is his name, like I said, is Zen, and the parent of the victim sits there and the store. Because when they decided to take the case to court, they realized that the case shouldn't be took to court just to report Zen. In the police station, they had to take both the store and the Zen, because the incident happened in the store, and the girl, she is working there. This is the end of my first story. I have second story, and the second story is from Aljazeera.com.
Please, what's the name?
Aljazeera.com. The title of the story is DRC Male and Female Rape Survivors Share Their Stories. DRC Male and Female Rape Survivors Share Their Stories.
You will one day be exposed.
We are going to proceed. We don't have time.
Okay,
this story is from Aljazeera.com, and the title says DRC Male and Female Rape Survivors Share Their Stories. So we decided to pick a male so that we can give our work a variety. Since when we are talking about gender, we shouldn't be gender biased. So all along we have been talking about female. So we think we have to a little shift to the right, a little shift to the left. So this case is about a boy. His real name was hidden, but the reporter, or I think we decided to use Alan. His real name has been changed to protect his identity. This is the first thing we do, and when it is in Congo Republic, and the issue is that they are just sitting at their home at about 8:30 in the p.m. Then some rebels walk into the house, and after they enter the house, and the reason they walk into the house, he said that it was his father had this agreement with one politician. So when the politician is sent, I don't know whether they are really military or military, because even in the report there was a confusion whether they are real militaries or they are militaries. But they are accusing him of being a traitor, and it's like they are participating in activities of rebel. So in this accuse of rebel, when the military came into the room, the boy said that they took his mother and his sister to the next room, they raped him. He was even hearing their voice while they were raping them. So he was narrating his ordeal in the next room, and they shot him in the back. This is also sensitive, and they tied his neck, and they even told him right in his eyes that we are going to rape you. And as God will have it, they did. They raped him. So after raping him, it was later that their neighbors come to their aid, took his family to the hospital, and that was the last time he saw his mother and his sister, because they are dead. And he was taken to hospital. After taken to hospital, he was treated, and because of the stigma and the devastation of experience he had, so he had to leave the country, and he moved to Uganda. It was later that he came back, and before he left, even his pastor was telling him that he will never be considered a real man. So it hurt him. He even said it. It was his narration, there was his voice there, everything was there. We just quoted him.
Let me point out something. You notice that when you write this thing out, everybody just say, hey, yeah, unanimous. So you see what the effect it had on you, the victim's voice, hearing from the victim, just hearing this, right? So assuming that the person that told this story went to paraphrase it might not have the same effect that it just had on you, that you just reacted at the same time. And another thing I noticed is that this story was done in DR Congo, and I don't know if people know about DR Congo. They have plenty issues there. They've been having conflicts there for several decades, right? So what the writer of this story, because I'm reading it from here, what he did was that there is a subtitle that he said, rape as a weapon of war. It's so important what he did here. He's not just telling a one-off story about Alan that was raped. He's telling you how rape is used as a weapon of war, how it's employed by both sides of, it doesn't matter what side of the divide you are in, whether you're a rebel or whether you are government forces. This part is very important. He spoke on what UN has to say about sexual and gender-based violence. He put some figures here, quoted some officials. So I really think that it's important. Like I said, if you are trying to talk about, this person did a lot of research. If you are trying to talk about rape, it depends on like what aspect of rape do you want to address. Do you want to address the mental effects that it has on people? Is that the experience of the person that you're talking about? If so, if yes, you can use it to relate to the bigger picture, right? And say that this is the mental health effect that it has on others. In this case, this person was talking about a boy who was raped in DR Congo. So he now used this boy's case to talk about the bigger issue of rape as a weapon of war. So always look at the bigger picture. This is really important for the person. So you can continue.
Okay, I have exhausted the sensitive part. The non-sensitive part, as you have just said, is that DR Congo has been a home of conflict and chaos. So it's not longer a news that at about 8 p.m. if somebody just walk into your house and break your door and come in, is normal. So it's not sensitive, and the police brutality And military and paramilitary brutality, I think, is also not a new story, especially in the African countries, especially places like Congo. And the second non-sensitive area, I think, his father begged the military that please, they should leave his family alone. But they couldn't listen to him. They have to do what they have to do anyway. So this is also familiar, they are familiar with all this kind of brutality. So I think it's insensitive, but it has to appear in the story. And that is the end of our work. Thank you.
So let me just comment on some wonderful presentation. Well done. So what
Who declared you? Most successful group. Who declared you?
Alright, please
let us not put the cat before the horse. Let us finish, please.
So the first story, everything was accurate. The second one, the first part was mostly accurate. The second one, well, you are talking about it from your own perspective. Yes. To me, I don't think it's nonsense. It's insensitive. What he said was, I don't think it was insensitive, but in as much as it's something that is like already normal, he's not harming the victim in any way. He's not portraying the perpetrator in like in a way that is not supposed to be. It was just like stating the fact. They actually shut down their door by 8 p.m. So I don't think there's anything wrong in revealing that. His father begged them not to hurt his family. Humanize it more. Like in your head, you can picture this a full-grown man, you know, begging somebody, please don't hurt my family. So I don't think that's insensitive. It's possible for a story to be all positive. So I think this particular story, she was Al Jazeera that did it.
Yes, it was
which explains why it's perfect. So,
they are good journalists.
They are good. That's what all of us should be aiming for. Like, when somebody reads our story, they can't see anything negative, they'll just be commenting on it. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next group. Alright, this is what? So please come about your story so I can be reading as you are presenting.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to you all. My name is Hawa Abdullahi. I'm here to represent Group 1. Me and my group members are going to go on a story of my friend in Nigerian days. What we observed, me and my group members, the story started by saying what the students image-based violence, abuse when an intimate photo of her was shared without her consent, guys, through online Facebook. She was 16 then. Well, then she started assessing. But initially she don't even know how to access Facebook. Then she now met one of a friend of her, and then started showing her expression so that she can help her to be a online vendor. Should I say? So initially, when she joined him, but at the end of the day, he started chasing her, requested her to send her pictures of hers. So initially, initially she refused to send the pictures, but as time goes on, then she now sends her the pictures and the. see that her friend introduced her to Facebook to help her to create an account. As soon as she logged on, then she began requested. As she said, she didn't even know that the first person who contacted her became very close when she contacted for around 3 months above that. Then they communicated every day. He could ask personal questions and answer sort of for us to get how each other eventually wanted to see a picture and ask her to send something so that she can give him one of wearing her clothes. Then he demanded her to send him her naked picture. Okay, then at the end of the day, she happened to send it to her. She don't even know how it comes. After a week or 2 weeks, she started seeing her photos being passed around and shown to others. She had never met him face to face, and she don't even know where he lived, but she began to wonder whether he was close by because soon everybody in her school community that she knows, her parents, her old friends, everyone is so sad because they were depressed upon seeing her that of her naked picture. People were always talking about photos and saying stuff of saying bad things against her. She went to the police station. She now reported, but the police station refused to attend her because they think that it was her fault. So at the end of the day, she go back home with depression and no any one of her parents or her relative or friends that were able to help her. So what we observed, me and my friends, observers of survival of sensitive reporting. First, the reporter hides the identity of her parents. And second, he doesn't even share her pictures and he hides the identity of her school. He didn't disclose the location of the police station she reports the case. And non-sensitive survival reporting that we have observed that he disclosed her identity by mentioning her name. He disclosed her age. He failed to ensure woman angle approach. He was not sympathizing. So that is what we found out that this story of the friend. So the story was not even sympathizing. We not even sympathize with her as a woman.
Yes.
Okay, then our second story.
Let me see. Tell me the name of the.
He didn't even use her words. He didn't use her words. He was narrating it his own words.
We're inviting you.
Our second story is on Halima. Her identity was not written. This is not her real name, Halima. You just mentioned the Halima. It's not her real name. A survivor of domestic violence. She's a single-handed raising her 8 children. Her husband used to beat her up constantly until she decided to divorce him. She now lives in a camp for internal displaced persons in Somaliland, Barrow, Somaliland. Halima's husband asked her to divorce him on the condition that she renounce any claims to their children and never see them again or divorce him, but keep custody of their children on the condition that she renounce all her rights to child support. Halima took the hardest decision on her life by choosing to keep her children and working hard provide them with a better life. Halima was forced out of home with her 8 children, including her 6-month-old baby girl. She had no money, a place to live, and didn't have any family to depend on. Being illiterate. She was so illiterate that I think that maybe she's educated. Maybe before her husband even takes her out, maybe she could find a job or something that she would depend on. So she's illiterate. I think that is the major cause of her problem with her husband. So Halima and her children only had their clothes and personal belongings when they arrived at the IDP camp, where she found a job as a house cleaner. Her income was not even enough to buy anything for more than food. they needed to survive. She couldn't afford to take their children to school. So at the end of the day, Halima happened to be one of the UNICEF Shield projects as a social innovation and social entrepreneurship program that aims to build skills and opportunity for disadvantaged and vulnerable young people, survivors of gender-based violence, and people living with disabilities. At the end of the day, Halima have innovation workshop, do social innovation workshop, mentorship, incubation, and seed funding to equip young people with skills and resources they need to identify problems in their own community and design solutions for them. Halima is a beneficiary of this UNICEF Shield project. So she's now a successful woman, being that she has the help of UNICEF and having to be one of the successful people that have entrepreneurship programs with UNICEF. So what we observe here in the second story is that human angle approach is ensured, and he was sympathetic. So the reporter really showed his sympathy on the stories, and he contacted relevant authorities. Because I believe that if you don't contact relevant authorities, you will not even know that yes, Halima happens to be one of the successful people that been one of the people that have this entrepreneurship project at UNICEF. And he used to study.
Pseudonym.
He had real name. I use a pseudonym.
Okay, he had her real name. Yes, he didn't mention her age and address where she lived. And the non-sensitive social report that we have is not disclosed where she lives, where she does her business. Because up to now, it's not disclosed anywhere she lives. The only narrate something that we have through UNICEF program. So I think this is the this is the end of our presentation.
Clap for us, please.
Clap for her.
Can we hire you?
Clap for them small.
Small.
Her observations were correct. So for the first story, she said that the person did not use the human angle thing. And it's correct, because if you are reading the story, it's just blank, right?
And she
didn't
make this research at all.
The person did not even bother with that. And then for this second story, she said that the person empathized with the survivor. There's something about this particular thing that the person reading it can tell whether you empathize with the person or not. They can tell whether you are just trying to do your job and submit your report. They can always tell. That's the thing with like your diction, your language. You just pause out and you will not know. That's how sometimes collected brown envelope from politicians. What you have to do, but you just know from what they are reading. You say no, this one has collected something from the bank. So for you to be, you cannot fake being genuine. If you are not genuine, people can tell. Like she just pointed it out. That first story, they were just regurgitating everything. Again, maybe the person might feel sorry for the victim, but he or she is not a good storyteller. So they are just doing how they know best. But the second one, you can just say, I read it. You feel sorry for the person. So there was also, I don't know who among you said it when they were presenting about them not using the victim voice. So as much as I want you to use the victim voice, it's also important that you don't fill up your long form with quote from the victim. It's your job as a reporter to know which part will have that much impact, right? That will draw reaction. You now, put that part in quotation. Then some parts, you tell it like you're telling a story. Then you just put a part where their voice comes in. Like that first one that I can't remember which group it was. The person didn't quote the survivor, or they'll just tell you the story, and then a particular part, and that part where they said he raped me, he took my virginity. That was from the victim, right? He didn't quote everything from the victim, but just that part that he felt was impactful. And as they read it out, you all, reacted. So it's like a huge part of reporting LGBT is also like using your own initiative and just generally being good at your work. So practice. So there's another group remaining back. Okay, this is the last one.
This is the last one.
Oh, this is the last. Nice.
Commendation.
You finished on time.
Ma.
Well done, everybody.
Madam, any commendation?
Commendation.
Commend us now.
I'm not to keep that place, but not a very